I'm 81 years old now, and under my bed, there's a small blue suitcase that has not been opened in 52 years. It's not locked. It's not hidden. It's simply avoided. Every morning when I wake up, my feet almost touch it. Every night before sleeping, I see its corners sticking out from shadows. I always tell myself the same thing. Tomorrow, I'll open it. But tomorrow has been late for half a century. Inside that suitcase is not money, not photographs, not secrets. Inside that suitcase is the life I kept postponing. When I was 22, I wanted to become a photographer. Not the kind who takes wedding pictures or passport photos. I wanted to travel the world with a camera, capturing stories. The quiet ones. The ones hidden in old streets, wrinkled faces, empty train stations. I bought my first camera with 6 months of savings. And along with it, I bought that blue suitcase. Because in my mind, I was leaving soon. Soon I would travel. Soon I would chase stories. Soon I would become the man I imagined. But then something happened. Nothing dramatic. Just life. My father got sick. Not dangerously sick. Just enough that someone had to manage the family shop. Just for a few months, my mother said. Until things settled down. So I placed the camera inside the suitcase and slid it under the bed. 3 months turned into 2 years. 2 years turned into responsibility. Responsibility turned into routine. At 27, a friend invited me on a road trip across the country. Mountains, deserts, villages nobody had heard of. "You have the camera," he said. "You should come." I almost said yes, but the shop was busy. My father still needed help, and I told myself something that sounded wise at the time. There will be better opportunities later. My friend went without me. He came back with stories that filled entire nights. Stories about strangers who became friends, about sleeping under stars, about getting lost and discovering places that weren't on maps. I listened. And then the next morning, I opened the shop again. At 31, I met a woman named Lena. She loved the idea of travel. The first time she saw my camera, she smiled. "You don't look like a shopkeeper," she said. "You look like someone who is supposed to be somewhere else." I laughed, but she was right. We talked for hours about cities we had never seen. Paris, Istanbul, Tokyo. We even planned a trip. We chose the dates. Looked at tickets, dreamed about photographs we would take together. Then the week before the trip, I canceled. "Business is unstable right now," I told her. "Next year will be better." She nodded, but something in her eyes changed that day. 6 months later, she moved to another city. Not because she stopped loving me, but because she stopped waiting. Years passed quietly. Not badly, just quietly. The shop did well. I became reliable. People respected me. Neighbors called me responsible. Family called me dependable. Those words sound like compliments. But sometimes they are simply polite ways of describing someone who stopped chasing things. At 46, my father passed away. And for the first time in decades, I was free. The shop was mine. The responsibilities were lighter. The timing was finally perfect. I remember standing in my room that night, looking at the suitcase under the bed, my heart beating faster than it had in years. I almost opened it. Almost. But then another thought appeared. A dangerous one. "You're too old to start now." So I pushed the suitcase a little deeper under the bed and went to sleep. Life became comfortable after that. Predictable. Safe. I had savings. A steady routine. A reputation as the man who always made sensible choices. But something strange started happening in my 60s. Small regrets began visiting me. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like whispers. When I saw a travel documentary, when I watched someone taking street photographs, when I met people younger than me who had already lived 10 different lives, I would smile. But inside, a question always appeared. What if, 3 weeks ago, something unexpected happened? My granddaughter visited my house. She is 9 years old, curious about everything, fearless in the way only children can be. While playing in my room, she pulled the suitcase from under the bed. "Grandpa," she asked, "what's inside?" For the first time in 52 years. I didn't have an answer, so we opened it. Inside was the camera, still wrapped in the cloth I had placed around it decades ago. There were also travel maps, old notebooks, a passport application I never submitted, and a long list of places I once planned to photograph. My granddaughter looked at the camera. "Does it still work?" she asked. I didn't know, so we tried. The battery was dead, the lens dusty, but somehow it still worked. Later that evening, I walked outside with the camera, just to test it. Just one photo. The street looked ordinary. Kids playing, a man selling tea, an old dog sleeping near a wall. Nothing special, but when I looked through the lens, something strange happened. For the first time in decades, I felt alive again. That night, I realized something painful. The suitcase was never the thing holding my dreams. Fear was. Fear of starting late. Fear of failing publicly. Fear of discovering that my dream was smaller than my imagination. So instead, I preserved the dream perfectly. Untouched, unchallenged, unlived. Yesterday, I booked my first trip, not across the world, just to a small coastal town 3 hours away. I'm going with my granddaughter. She says she wants to help me take pictures. Maybe I will take thousands. Maybe they will be terrible. Maybe they will be beautiful. But one thing is certain. The suitcase is finally empty. And for the first time in my life, my future is not waiting under the bed. It's outside the door. If you have your own suitcase, your own postponed dream, your own quiet one day hiding somewhere in your life, open it. Not when the timing is perfect, not when you feel ready, but now, because dreams don't expire, but courage often does. And the most dangerous thing in the world is not failure. It is a life that was always about to begin, but never did.